Okay, I'm going to start. So good evening to everyone. Chodesh Tov to everyone. So good to see you. And thank you so much for joining us to learn, to connect, and to tap into the energy, the spiritual energy of Elul. I want to express my deep appreciation to Sheila and Donald Miller for sponsoring the Elul series. And it's really wonderful how with their generosity and their vision for the programming of the shul makes a big difference. And so thank you so much, Donald and Sheila, for sponsoring the series of Tapping into Elul, which is beginning tonight. Sivan, Rahav, Meir is someone who has visited Beth Jacob in the past, and so it's great to kind of welcome her back to Beth Jacob. She is Zooming to us live from Israel, so it's 8:30 by us, which means it's a little bit early in the morning, 6:30 in Israel. And so Sivan, we appreciate, I'm sure your day usually starts pretty early, but thank you so much for speaking to us live from Eretz Yisrael. Sivan Rahav Meir is an incredible Torah and media personality who's making waves in Israel and also in the States. And again, happy to welcome her back. I'm going to call upon Alice Schoenfeld, who's a leader of the Beth Jacob community and someone who's beloved and admired in the shul, to introduce Sivan. I was speaking with Alice, and Alice told me that she listens to Sivan's shiurim on a regular basis. And we thought it would be nice to get involved, to get our members, certainly our leaders, involved in the program. So Alice, we'll turn to you and to give an introduction to Sivan, and to everyone, enjoy and be inspired. Alice, you're on.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Tal. Brucha haba'a, Sivan. Sivan Rahav Meir is an Israeli sensation and well-known media personality. She is a journalist, an anchorwoman, and a TV reporter for Channel 2. She has interviewed prime ministers and leading diplomats and scholars. Sivan is a learned scholar who has been giving shiurim, which have become extremely popular, drawing hundreds of people each week. She represents a unique combination of the new and old, modernity and Torah, and brings that fresh perspective to her classes, inspiring many. She visited Beit Jacob a couple of years ago and spent Shabbat with us. It is a pleasure to welcome her back via Zoom. Please, Rabbi. Thank you. Now I can't hear you.
Thank you, Alice. And Sivan.
Were you able to hear me?
We turn it over to you. Yes, we hear you, Alice, and that was beautiful. And we turn it over to Sivan.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rabbi. Thank you very much, Alice. Can you all hear me and see me from Yerushalayim? Yeah? Wow. So exciting. Good morning. Good morning. Rosh Chodesh Elul in Yerushalayim. What a beautiful way to open that special month, spending it with you now. Toda rabba. Thank you very much for the zchut. I feel privileged, I just wrote it, here, the schedule. I wrote Bet Yaakov, Los Angeles, and for 2-3 weeks, it made me feel really so excited. And I will tell you why. We just came back from the States. We had a shlichut, a mission. We were supposed to stay there for 2 years. Obviously, things changed, slightly changed in all of our plans and journeys. And we came back after 8 months. But the beginning, I think everything begins in your beautiful community. And maybe I will start by sharing our story for a few minutes, and then we will talk about that special timing, the month of Elul. But it really all started with you, with the special congregation, Beth Jacob of LA. It means something for me, and I will explain why. I grew up here in Israel, 7th generation Israeli. My kids are 8th generations here in Israel. It's very Baruch Hashem. It's very impressive. We didn't do anything. We were just born, but my ancestors came as pioneers, chalutzim, during the first Aliyah. They established the city of Rishon LeZion. I grew up here, completely secular, Chiloni, Ashkenazi, Smolani, the left when you speak about the political spectrum, so in the left. And I hardly knew nothing about my Judaism. I became more observant, more religious when I was a teenager. And then I worked as a journalist since even earlier, before I became frum, okay? I was a journalist since I was 6 or or 7 here in Israel, worked on Israeli TV, Channel 1, Channel 2, Channel 6. That I want to show you the first slide, the first picture. I'm like 11, what you're about to see. It's me and Prime Minister Rabin of blessed memory. I interviewed him when I was really young, and that's my childhood. That's my story. Let's see it works, the presentation. Benjamin, can you please show them the first embarrassing picture of me? Okay. Yes, the king is in the field, but so are we. Exactly. That's the definition. But that's me, and that's Prime Minister Rabin of blessed memory. And basically, that was my childhood. It wasn't a hobby. It was my career. I worked for more than 30 years on Israeli TV, radio, newspapers, and magazines. That's me. And I thought, okay, that's what I'm about to do, for the rest of my life. It's very interesting. Although I became religious, I started keeping Shabbat and Kashrut. I thought it has nothing to do with journalism. Okay, you can be an Orthodox journalist, especially in Israel. It's okay. But then something happened. You can unshare the screen. That's okay. No, wait, that's a spoiler. Then something happens, and it has a lot to do with you. I started speaking about Torah after Yehudit, our fifth child was born. I'm married to Yedidia. He's also a journalist. Works here in Israeli media. And we have 5 kids, Baruch Hashem. We live here in Yerushalayim. I'm thinking about maybe showing you Yerushalayim live, right? I know you miss Yerushalayim. Can I check here? That's the camera. Okay. You see? That's my tripod, but Rehavia, Shara Chesed. I know how much people in the States miss Israel right now. So yeah, at least to see. Moshe Rabbeinu also wanted just to see. So that's Yerushalayim. That's where we live, Baruch Hashem. And but I thought, okay, that's being a journalist covering the Supreme Court, covering the Knesset, our parliament. There's a lot to cover. 3 elections in 1 year. I hope I want to have to cover the 4th elections soon. Anyway, that was my plan. And then I started for the first time discussing Torah issues, on the news, explaining what's the parsha, what's the weekly portion we read. Many Israelis are not aware. As a secular teenager, I knew nothing about it. And it became quite popular, Baruch Hashem. It became more popular than all those, news shows. And I started focusing on our heritage, our culture, and started giving different types of lectures. I'm used to say that usually people are interested in scoops about Sarah Imenu more than they're interested in scoops about Sarah Netanyahu. Both Sarahs are very well known here in Israel, but I focused on the first one. And boom, Baruch Hashem, so many feedbacks, people responding, and it became something new in my life. And then I met you. It was the first time one of the members in your community, David Schlecht, reached out to me after a big lecture here in Yerushalayim. Now, when I think back, we had 500 or 600 people together. You remember those normal days we had, right? Before those Zoom meetings. So David, at the end of the evening, he told me with an American accent, Ani rotze hartzaa lakehila shelanu, meaning I want you to give a lecture in our community. I said, sure. I just heard the American accent, and I said, sure, I will come to Ramat Bet Shemesh, no problem. I can give a lecture to your community. Where do you want me to come? Ra'anana, Ramat Bet Shemesh, Gush Etzion, I'm there. And then he said, Beverly Hills. Okay. For years, Jews suffered in order to spread Torah. They had to go, the wandering Jew. If I have to go to Beverly Hills, I'm about to do it. No problem, David. And it happened. It was the first time I ever met a community abroad. You organized everything, Rabbi Posey, Rabbi Top, the leaders of your community. Everything was booked and planned. I remember I received the ad and it said, scholar in residence. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Who's going to be the scholar in residence? That sounds very impressive. Oh, that's me. Whoa. Okay. And everything was new and everything was exciting. Just coming, meeting Jews abroad. I'm ashamed to say, but I hardly thought about what's going on. with our millions of brothers and sisters out there in the States, in Europe. I knew nothing about it. I was so, self-centered, Israeli-centered. Everything happens here, okay? You're welcome to join. You're welcome to donate. That's always nice. But that's all. I knew nothing about, the challenges and the, what you're doing there. The first time I ever spoke to a community abroad was back then, I think 3 years ago, Beth Jacob congregation, Beverly Hills 90211, right? That's still the cool address. And my life changed. I mean, since I even remember now when David introduced me and the rabbis, they introduced me and they said, that's the president of the shul. I guess you have a new president since, 3 years passed, I don't know. But I was shocked. I thought you're joking. Seriously, I thought, I'm a native Israeli. I thought you're laughing at me. Why do you need a president? I mean, it's a shul. And that's the first lady. I mean, that's his wife. Why do you need a president? And turned out I knew nothing about the way your communities are built. Okay, my husband now, he goes, davens Shachris here in Yerushalayim. I don't know where, no president, okay, nothing, just, in Israel you go, Bet Knesset means, okay, you go and you pray, that's all. I hardly come, but there it's much more communal. It's a social center. And I learned so much. And then I became a scholar in residence in many other places afterwards, but nothing was like Beth Jacob, really. The empire you built there. I mean, it's the quality and the quantity and the activities for everyone and how connected you are to Israel and the diversity. I met so many people. I'm still in touch with some of them. So it always stay, it was the first step. And then Mizrahi movement, world Mizrahi movement, the religious Zionist movement, they asked us, they suggested, okay, since you go to so many communities, this thing became, once a month I left the kids, sometimes even my husband, and I, met people in Atlanta and Baltimore, Jersey and Maryland. And then we started seriously to think about shlichut. And that's the next slide. That picture was taken exactly a year ago, the end of August. Ben Gurion Airport, a place I'm sure you all miss, a very holy place in our Jewish life. That's us. When I look back, that's my husband and me, Aharon, and Tamar, Netanel, and Hillel, and Yehudit. You see the small Yehudit. With this picture, Rav Kook's picture, we took it with us. And the guy behind you see with his hand, that's Harav Doron Peretz, the leader of Mizrahi. Yeah, he thought he's sending us for 2 years, but yes, obviously everything changed. We spent 8 or 9 beautiful months in the States, but that virus really, I think, changed everything in a way. So many dreams and plans. And the next picture is, that's, nobody was waiting for us here. You can see that picture was taken a few days before Leil HaSeder this year. And obviously you can, you can see what's going on there. Everything stopped. No schools and no lectures and no shlichut, obviously. And we were isolated, quarantined in North Woodmere, 5 towns. That's where we lived. And we saw what's going on in Israel, in the States, in the whole world. And we thought so many shlichim, I don't know what's going on in LA, but most of the Sochnut and Bnei Akiva and many shlichim decided that's the right time to go back home in a way. So that's our story, okay? I'm still in touch with so many people and communities, and we learned so much. But that's, they say that, when Elul starts, you should start calculating and to look back, have reflections on the year you had. So I'm sure we all had so many, things to look back at. So that's our story. Okay, you can unshare that picture. It's too sad for me. You can stop showing it now. Okay, yeah. Obviously, we thought things would be different. No one thought when Rabbi Top, when you thanked the sponsored for that virtual Elul session, I'm sure you all planned that during the month of Elul, we will already be together in our shul. By the way, I just want to ask you, I'm a journalist. I also want to hear what's going on in your community. I mean, how many people can daven together? How are things, I mean, in LA right now? I mean, not a few months ago, right now, how many people are allowed to go in the building?
Here in our county and in our area, we're only allowed to be outdoors. We're not allowed to have, according to the governor in the county, we're not allowed to have any indoor services or programs. We're only allowed to have outdoor minyanim or religious services. So we are having minyanim 7 days a week, multiple minyanim, and we're trying to do programs when safe, outdoors with distance.
But no limitations? I mean, outdoors you can have 200 people or no?
It has to be everyone with face masks and also with social distancing of 6 feet. So you can't have that many people outdoors because you have to have that 6 foot distance. And many people, even though we're allowed to be together outdoors, but many people are still staying at home because either they're being advised as such or they're just not comfortable yet getting back to being in shul around other people. So we're not complete yet, and there's a far way to go to get back to even some semblance of normal. Thank you for your kind, beautiful
that
words
huge
about
hole in the huge with the stage and I'm sorry, but I also want to ask. I mean, do you have community members who passed away during the last 6 months or?
Thankfully, some community members have passed away, but thankfully, Baruch Hashem, b'li ayin hara, we weren't hit so hard by the virus in terms of our members. But b'li ayin hara, of course, a number of people did contracted the virus, but Baruch Hashem, pretty much everyone recovered as far as I know.
Okay, refuah shlema, Baruch Hashem, because the situation in New York and New Jersey is different, unfortunately. Okay, what I want to do together with you this morning or tonight is really discussing, the way I see or that challenging period in our life. And I think Elul forces us in a way to look at things in a different way. I mean, every year, and we said the king is in the field, okay, but we are there for 6 months. You just described, we're all outdoors. Things are if Elul should change us every year, that's the that's the definition. It's a different month. So life are quite different already. And we all ask ourselves those meaningful questions. I think since Purim or since Pesach, we ask those deep questions of having meaningful life and meaningful communities and our relationship with the family, the close members of our family. I think it's in a way, it's all there. I think in a way, this process of tshuva, of retrospection, that process of looking inside, I think in a way, we all started doing it a few months ago. The whole world. It's not just a Jewish thing that's going on right now. And what helps me, and here in Israel, I'll share. I'm doing it on TV. Okay, in an hour, I'm gonna be on TV this morning at 8, and in an hour. And I have this niche called Museon HaCorona, meaning COVID-19 museum. I invented it. I made up that format a few months ago, and Baruch Hashem, it works well here. And I want to share it with you, and maybe it will give you a new perspective, a new way to feel better and to feel more meaningful during those challenging days, especially if all those prayers, Chagim prayers, high holidays, are also going to take place outdoors, which is really frustrating. And I guess here in Israel and there, these are the plans. We will experience it in a different way this year. And what do I mean by saying Museon HaCorona? It means look at those times. We know it's gonna last for, a few months. It's gonna end. At the end of the day, okay, Be'ezrat Hashem, it will pass. It will end, okay, that period. Look at the opportunity to learn and look in a creative way, okay, what can I take out of those months? I hope not years, months. How can I look in a creative way, or even if in a funny way? I think sense of humor, it's the best remedy. It's the best cure right now. It's not me. Rabbi Gershon Edelstein, the head of Yeshivat Ponovich here in Israel, when he was asked, okay, by his students, what's the tip? Okay, give us a piece of advice. He said, humor, sense of humor, chush humor. Chush humor, that's your, I mean, you're 90, you're a Rosh Yeshiva, chush humor. I think it's otherwise we will really get crazy. Look at what's going on around us with the kids we see all day, or with the people we are not allowed to see at all, and we miss them. I think things are not balanced now. I mean, either you're with them all day, with parts of your family, either you can't hug them for 6 months. I miss my grandmother. I mean, I see her, but it's not like things used to be. Everything is different. And in a way, looking at it and trying to figure out, okay, what will I tell my grandchildren in 50 years about that period? What will I write about? What's going to become part of our family history or Jewish history? I think one day the Jewish COVID museum will be opened. I don't know, maybe in the States, maybe in Israel. I want to show you a few examples. I showed them all on Israeli TV, primetime shows, and people are sending me examples all day. I just received, I woke up this morning, I saw 3 emails with more examples. So it became like a phrase, Museon Corona. And we speak about it like every 2-3 days here on Israeli TV. And I see it helps people to see, things from a new perspective in their life. Okay, they're not negative and frustrated. They try to see, okay, what's so special? And obviously it's not permanent. So they see the special things that are going on here. And I think the examples will help us out here to figure out, okay, how can we look in a different way on that virus? Let's see the first picture, please. Okay, this picture was taken now, Rosh Chodesh Elul, in a place I'm sure you all miss, Kotel HaMa'aravi, the West One Wall. Please have a look. Okay, what do you think? Can it be a part of the COVID-19 museum? This guy, I asked his permission, and that's okay. His name is Moshe. I think that's a very good example of the situation that people, that picture explains what's going on right now. Let's see the next one. This is an invitation. That's an American family, by the way. They just made Aliyah. Avidan Milevsky, Rabbi Avidan Milevsky from Washington, Kesher Israel Shul, I think that's the name of the shul. And they came to Bet Shemesh, obviously. And when they sent people this invitation, to the Mesibat HaErusim engagement, so they invited people to come. You see Chaim, David, and Liora. Mazal Tov. But please look at the bottom of the picture. Down, please. Okay. That's the invitation. So if your family name starts with Aleph to Chet, you're invited to come here. You see from 7 to 8. Afterwards, from Tet to Ein, please come from 8 to 9. And nobody, if your family name starts with Pei or Taf, so no food is left, I guess. You'll stay hungry, but you can still come from 9 to 10. I think in 10 years, we'll show that picture to our kids, and they will ask us, for explanations. Kish el bincha le'emor. Okay, that's an historic period. Let's find, and the fact Jews still wanna get married and start, their Beit Ne'eman b'Israel. I think it means a lot. In Israel, I don't know what's going on in LA. There's so many weddings now. It's called Chatunot Corona weddings. Tonight, I'm going to attend one of those special weddings. My brother is getting married tonight with 15 people, maybe 20, approximately 20 people. And I'm sure it's going to be much more special than, 300, 400, 500 people like we used to do in the past. So yeah, that's also part of our private COVID-19 museum, our wedding. But look at that invitation, what part of the creative things that are going on here. Next example, bar mitzvah. Look at that picture. That's also an American family, the Waldmans from Lakewood. They came to Israel, but they were obviously quarantined. So they didn't hear Kriyat Torah for 2 or 3 weeks. Now, did you ever see, really, Rabbi Top, you saw hundreds of invitations to bar mitzvahs, I guess, in your community. I think no one ever printed such an invitation, okay? Shabbat bar mitzvah parashat Naso, Be'alotcha, Shlach, and Korach. They read all the parshat they missed while they were all alone, quarantined, before they celebrated the bar mitzvah. Baruch Hashem, they didn't invite me, because I think hearing 4 different parashot is quite a challenge. But once again, I think never in our Jewish history was such an invitation printed. Okay, that's part of the mesirut nefesh, of the self-devotion we show toward Hashem. Okay, we have that virus epidemic all over the world. We can't be together. We have to do this. We have to do that. But we don't forget the essence of everything. And we still want to put the mask as a kippah, and we still want to celebrate Erusin, and we still celebrate bar mitzvahs. And that last picture, that last example, before we'll dive even more into the meaning of Elul, that picture was taken in a school here in Yerushalayim. It became very famous, very popular, viral here in Israel. Kids have to write here in Israel to bring a note from their parents saying they're healthy. Okay, I checked them. No they're okay. They can come to school this morning. So this teacher, Rabbi Mark, from the school of Hareem in Har Nof in Yerushalayim, he told the kids, okay, every day when you come here and everything is okay, everything is normal, we will have a Todah wall, Kir Todah. Okay, thankful. One of the walls, it expanded. Now all of the walls in his classroom, they all look like this. And these are more than 600 thank yous, meaning, Baruch Hashem, I thank Hashem, I can go to school. I thank my parents for checking me, sending me for one more day of Torah learning, of learning. It means a lot today when so many kids are at home and they learn through Zoom, or they hardly learn, let's face it. The fact we're still able to learn Torah in Yerushalayim, it means a lot. And they didn't have any party at the end of the year, obviously. So that was the party. This teacher, he sent that picture to the parents with just one word, Todah. And it reached out to many people. I mean, it wasn't just this classroom. Many people in Israel saw it and thought about the meaning of just being healthy, being able to sit here together, to spend some time together and talk with you. We should also be thankful for that. So if you have any pictures, by the way, you can send them to me, since really I have hundreds of examples already, maybe 100 examples of special things that happened during, from March, April. And it became, as I said, like a joke. Oh, coronavirus, Corona Museum, wherever I go in the street, people come to me in Israel, Museum Corona. And I think, once again, it changes our perspective, okay? Now you can unshare the screen, and I will tell you something that I can't share on TV. You can also show, there you can only show pictures, right? But I think what's really meaningful is the stories, okay? Something more like the stories, the shiurim, the messages that we learn. I mean, that are conveyed now. And when I look back, I think maybe three messages or 3 titles became so important during this period. I want to share the 3 most, I think, influential stories I heard. And I think those are also the 3 values we should all, at the beginning of that month, we should all strengthen in our life. By the way, if anyone wants to speak or write on the chat, my pleasure. I'd love to. It's very hard for me to speak, without seeing you all. I see is those small faces. You're all at home. Yeah, I see your American houses. Let's see. I just want to see for a minute who I'm speaking with. Okay, so Mordechai Naor and his wife. Shalom, shalom. To your kitchen, Rabbi Top, obviously. Shalom. We still remember the Shabbat meal we spent at your house, and send my regards to Rebbetzin Top. Okay, I see the Coopers. I can't believe it. Rabbi Cooper, how are you? Wow. How are you? It's great to hear, to see you. I see Margie, their girl is a friend of mine, and she lives right here. Maybe the camera we can also show you your house here in Yerushalayim. And yeah, I see all of you. Shalom, shalom. The Lipmans and Sue. Hi, everyone. And those who don't want to be in front of the camera, that's also okay. So yeah, you're all welcome to the chat is open. You can text and send comments and questions there. But I do want to strengthen and I do want to emphasize 3 values that I think are crucial now regarding now Elul and the upcoming year, Bezrat Hashem. And the first word is chesed. Chesed. It may sound trivial. Yeah, we should help others. These are hard times. We should see what's going on in other people's life and how can we help them. Obviously, it's true. But I think chesed means much more right now. And I think we should have a new value, creative chesed. What do I mean? Judaism, for thousands of years, we know how to treat poor people. Baruch Hashem, ma'aser. And we know how to treat people who need help in those issues or other fields in their life. But for the first time, chesed, I think we should think of chesed in a more creative way because people need us now in a different way. I want to give one example that's really the most exciting coronavirus story I heard, and I share it with people in Israel. I will share it in English now. By the way, it's weird to speak English after so many months. I'm apologize for the mistakes I probably make. But the first story is from New York. It happened during Leil HaSeder. It was published here in Israel by Ori Shechter from Gush Etzion. He was the first one to post it. And I think this story is extremely meaningful because it describes our real mission, creative chesed. Meaning, what happened was an old lady, a widow, an old Jewish widow, had to celebrate the Seder night, Leil HaSeder, all by herself, completely alone. Obviously, she can't invite the kids, or she couldn't invite the kids, the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren. Nobody can be with her. And I hope she will be able to be with them during Rosh Hashanah meals, since we're just discussing it here now in Israel. So the neighbors, 2 apartments, 1 floor, the neighbors told her, okay, we will open the door so you will be able to hear us during Leil HaSeder. And you will have a sense of, you will be part of our Seder. And she obviously said yes, she agreed, and she was thankful. And what happened afterwards, that's our story, okay? That's our part of the story. Her son calls her after on Chol HaMoed, okay? The first day of Chol HaMoed, Motza'ei Yom Tov Rishon, Yontef. I forgot all those Ivris words, I'm sorry. But Shalach Manas, that's the best thing I learned during Purim, and then we left. Anyway, so no, my Ivris is awful, but he calls her after Yontef, and he tells her, I know you speak Hebrew, your Hebrew is great in, Beth Jacob. So he tells her, Mommy, how was your Leil HaSeder? How was the Seder night? How did you celebrate? I mean, how you were, so the first time we're leaving you, you're so alone there. And she said, Bni, my son, it was the best Seder I ever had. I never experienced something like it. And he's like, why? How come? And she says, the neighbor, everything he said was just like your father, alav shalom, like he did. Everything was the same. The nigunim, the costumes, the small things he did, the way he reads the Haggadah, the places where he stops, everything was just the same, the melodies, everything. And he says, her son says, oh, now I get it. Now I know why he called me 1 week before Leil HaSeder. And he asked me to record our nusach and to send it to him. And I did it. I recorded the way we do it at home, the way Nusach Bet Abba, the way father did it, the way Abba did it. And I sent him that file. And he was sitting there learning it by heart, just in order to make you feel better during Leil HaSeder. Now, I guess that neighbor was very busy, just like all of us, before Pesach, okay? We had so many things to do. The world just became so crazy, okay? Everything turned upside down. I guess he had many things to do in his house, with his wife, with the kids. Pesach. But he sat there, learned it by heart, L'sameach lev almana, to make that widow's heart happier. It's a mitzvah to take care of especially widows, but everyone who feels a little bit outside, a little bit weaker right now, doesn't matter, the definition has to be a widow. I think taking care of them in a creative way, it means a lot. And sometimes it's not about money and it's not about time. I guess it took him a few minutes. It's about thinking, okay, really trying to see things from their eyes, okay, what do they need? And people need different things right now. Sometimes it's even embarrassing, okay, the things, okay, people want or don't want right now. But we should be there for them. It's not just chesed, okay, Meiser giving maaser, tzedakah, charity, or okay, no, it's volunteering in things that we already have, projects that already exist. It's very important. We should think of new ways of chesed, what exactly people need. I'll give you one example. Here in our building, okay, they had this project, the Ministry of Education, just checking all the kids in Israel have laptops for Zoom meetings, and yeah, we try to take care of things here in our neighborhood, in our community, and yeah, they all have laptops. But you know why they don't have? They don't have a mic. I just spoke to a teenager here. They have no microphone, meaning he can't speak. The way the laptop is built, his laptop, what he has, that's the equipment they have. He can listen, but he's unable to speak. They will not be able to hear him for a year. That's the way he's going to learn. And then I asked him something else. Okay, maybe we want to have creative chesed. What else do you need? Tell me, seriously, honestly, nobody hears us. So you have a laptop, check, okay? So his teacher said, great, okay, you have a laptop. Now he tells me, yeah, but I don't have a mic, meaning I'm gonna be very passive, okay? During September, the starting of school year, I can't speak. It costs nothing. It's just buying, someone did it, okay? You don't have to sponsor, so just bringing him a mic. And then he said, we don't have a printer. It's not so expensive. But all the kids, they print, the missions, they get homework, assignments. I don't have a printer. So we check laptops, that's the mission, Ministry of Education. Do you have a laptop? Okay, but what about the printer? Teacher gives you, she sends you email. You should be more active during that year. A kid that can't print, doesn't have the assignments, no homework, nothing. And that's it. Okay, sometimes it's all about the nusach of the Seder, the mic, the printer, that's it. But we must, expand the way to look at things in a wider and more creative way. Creative chesed. I think that's the first mission. The second mission that's the second center of our identity. When I look at, things that are going on in the world, is Torah. I think the world is now, the Jewish world, you can split it. You can look at two definitions. Those who are in touch with shuls and schools and communities before that crisis started, and those who have nothing to do with it. And in a way, you're saying, okay, so they have no shul. So now, how can they be connected now? And that's the second story I heard. This story is not from New York. It's from Odessa, Ukraine. A friend of mine, Chaya Wolf, told me that story. As I said, your museum. Okay, you must listen to this story. And what happened in their community, I think it's the most relevant message to all of us. I'm very happy to be here with the members of your community. And I speak to American Jews a lot through Zoom. But I also always have to remind myself of the fact most of them are not on Zoom. Okay, most of the Jews in America had no Jewish Zoom since March, okay? And it's our obligation, it's our responsibility to reach out to them. Where really we suffer, we hardly, maintain our communities. So yeah, now thinking about others, yeah, we can't, I'm sorry, but yeah, that's part of our mission. And here's the story. Chaya Wolf, Shlichat Chabad, in Odessa, Ukraine. They're there for 30 years. And during Shavuot, they built a shul outdoors. Obviously, they can't daven just like you and us. They can't pray outside. They can't inside. They can't invite the kids in there to the shul. It's too crowded, and they need social distance and masks and everything. So they built a shul outside of their shul, something very fragile from wood and all those, plastics or nylons, and I don't know. They brought something and they built a shul for the people outside to come. And that way the kids on Shavuot will also be able to come, since once again, children it's such an important part of our community and they hardly come now. So they built something very big, huge, like a tent. And they said, now you can come and listen to Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 Commandments. You can come and listen during Shavuot and be with us during the service. Two Jews from Ukraine reached out to them and said, wow, Chag Sukkot Sameach. Efo Arbaat Aminim. Okay, happy Sukkot. Where are the 4 species? Efo Arbaat Aminim. And that was the beginning of Sivan, one day before Shavuot. And my friend Chaya Wolf told them, what? Sukkot? And they said, yeah, we just saw the sukkah you built outside. Where is Arbaat Aminim? Chag Sukkot. We love Sukkot. And she was like, wow, how disconnected can you be? How far away? How, there's a pulse here, okay? We all celebrated Pesach, and we had Sfirat HaOmer and Lag BaOmer. And now it's Shavuot. It's the month of Sivan. And you seriously just see this, okay? Shul we built, and you think it's a sukkah, okay? And so tell me, if it's Sukkot, where were you during Yom Kippur, okay? We missed you during Rosh Hashanah. It's not Tishrei, it's Sivan. You have no Jewish background, no Jewish knowledge. That's it. You just see this tent, and you say Sukkot, and you think about Lulav. And she told me that story, and I'm sharing it with you, because the majority of our nation, unfortunately, doesn't know, they all don't know, it's Rosh Chodesh Elul. You can tell them it's Sukkot. You can tell them it's Shavuot now, Yom Yerushalayim. I don't know. Everything works. Everything works. And they're not members, okay? They pay no fees, no shul, no congregation, no even JCC, Federation, APAC. This bubble we built, and I saw this beautiful bubble during our shlichut. We built a beautiful bubble, but it's a bubble. The majority, they know nothing about what's going on here. They don't care, modern Orthodox, extremely Orthodox, open, closed, to the right, to the left, all those conflicts, okay? Our inner issues, they couldn't care less. They just want to know Elul started. They want to know it's Rosh Hashanah. And it's us. I mean, those 2 Jews from Odessa, I don't know, she told me, it was like a Hasidic tale, Ma'asiyah Hasidit, okay? The Jew that thought it's Sukkot and not Shavuot. I think this second story, the first one was very optimistic, creative chesed, but the second story, in a way, teaches us new creative ways of Torah learning and reaching out to people. Okay, we must teach them. I can't forget the doctor I met in New York, an American Jewish doctor, in one of those places. I won't mention the name of the place where I met him. And he reached out to me, so proud, with a sheet of paper, and he wrote the letter Aleph on it, okay? Just imagine Aleph. By the way, he wrote it with many mistakes, but it was, I can recognize the Aleph. Now, he's a well-known doctor, private practice, very wealthy, very well-known. You can Google his name. But all the Jewish knowledge he could share with me was that Aleph. And he was so proud. Aleph, yeah. I once learned, I had a Sunday school, Aleph. I asked him about bet, base, no bet, nothing. Now listen, you're a professor, you're rich, you're famous, you're an intellectual, you're smart. You invested so much, in other fields, and that's all you have to tell me? Aleph, that's it. So it's and most of the Jews out there that's the situation. It's our obligations. They're our brothers and sisters. And that's the right timing to try and think about creative ways of reaching out to them. The last short story I'm going to share. And thank you for all the comments on the chat. These stories aren't mine. These are not my private treasures. I share it with others. But the third story is a private story. It's my story. No New York, no Ukraine. It happened here in Israel. And that's the first value. We spoke about chesed and about Torah. These are the important part of in our Jewish identity. But I want to tell you something about Israel. And I know how much you miss Israel. We missed you, by the way, Jerusalem. You know, we used to see all the Americans here during the summer. And yeah. Anyway, we landed and we were quite hysteric, you know, when we landed after this awful flight from New York to Tel Aviv, 12 hours, and you just sit there and you don't want to touch anyone, you don't want to speak, you don't want to eat with the kids. You saw the picture. We literally ran away. These were the hardest days in New York. 1,000 people passed away every day during March, April. We escaped, and you don't want to touch. It was very scary. And we landed. No one was waiting. We didn't see my parents or my husband's parents. They were locked, you know, it was before the Seder. And we had to be quarantined for 40. We informed the Ministry of Health, I'm going to be here. That's the address for 14 days. And you sign up, and then you're sent there. That's it. Now be there for 14 days. Don't move. And we had to celebrate Leila Seder all alone, and clean and prepare everything alone. I mean, wow, that's really, that's not my, you know, field. And we turned on the radio on the way to that place we rented for those 14 days. And it said, the first headline was, Prime Minister Netanyahu will inform the public with the leaders of the IDF and the Ministry of Health, will all inform the public and tell them what's the policy regarding Leila Seder next week. Boom. That was the first headline, okay? What are the plans? What should we do on Leila Seder? And we looked at each other there, and we didn't even have to speak, okay? Baruch Hashem, we're home. We're home not just physically, we're home because it's the only place on earth where that's the main headline. Wherever you go, all over the world, the main headline is, obviously, COVID-19. There's just one place where Leila Seder, that's the main headline. Because that's the essential thing. Corona, this virus will disappear, Be'ezrat Hashem, okay? It's not permanent. Leila Seder, that's essential. That's destiny. That's the main thing we want to keep. Now, let's see, how do we do it this year, okay? We have new, you know, circumstances. We'll take care of it. But Leila Seder, it's part of the news. And after being for almost a year in the States and, you know, listening and hearing everything about Halloween and Thanksgiving, and obviously Christmas, and celebrating all of your national holidays, Black Friday, Super Bowl, okay? All those things, all those parties weren't exactly my party, okay? And I had to learn the codes every time to ask the neighbors, okay, what do we do? Jews do it, they don't do it, are we allowed? What's going on here? But it was never our pulse, okay? You never go, I don't know, Target or Macy's, and you never hear Pesach songs. All you hear is Santa's songs all day. You never feel like your culture is the culture. And we landed in such a really a shocking situation. But in a minute, we got that message of, you know, the only Jewish state on earth. And that's the third thing. We should find creative ways of strengthening our connections to Israel right now. Because physically, you can't be here. But in a way, maybe that meeting from Yerushalayim was also helpful in, you know, making you feel a little bit of Israel, a taste of Israel, with the Israeli accent especially, but also the content. And maybe I was able to help you in that third mission we all share. I wish us Be'ezrat Hashem, Chodesh Tov, and Shana Tova. We never said Shana Tova, I think, with such a, you know, kavana. We really mean it when we say Shana Tova. And I wish to see you all soon there or here in Yerushalayim. And Toda Rabba once again for the opportunity to meet Best Jacob congregation. And I'm here if you have comments and questions. Toda Rabba. And thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Wow, Sivan, thank you so much for that amazing presentation from Eretz Yisrael, from Yerushalayim. And I'm sure everyone here is just very inspired by your stories, by everything you just shared with us from the heart, and it enters the heart on the creative chesed, on reaching out with Torah to everyone, and also on Israel. We do miss Israel. We had virtual tours. Of Israel with Israeli tour guides. It was just one program that we did to keep us connected to Israel. Okay, so And so let's see if we have any. Okay, we have some comments here. And as you offered, Sivan, you said you're happy to take a question or two. So we'll see if any questions or comments come in.
No problem. While you're thinking or texting, I will ask Benjamin to show the last slide. Since I have a project called the Daily WhatsApp here. Let's see the full screen. Okay. And what you see here is obviously, that's the way to subscribe and to get for free all the messages I sent out, all the lectures, the links to the shiurim in English or in Hebrew. If you want to get the English content, you can use the American number there. That's David's number, by the way. We're still in touch. David from Beverly Hills, from LA. That's the number, the 310, etc. And you can all just text the message, tell I want to join, I want to subscribe, and you will be added to the list. And you can get all the content I regularly send out every day in English or in Hebrew from here, from Israel, about what's going on in this week's Parsha, the Chagim, or other current events in Israel. So my pleasure. And thank you very much I see Adina Rimon. Adina, yeah, I know people miss Toda Rabba. I know people miss the weekly English shiur at YU. I also miss it. I had a weekly shiur at YU. Everything. When I look back, when I speak to you, these are not holy places, but these are meaningful places for me. Pico Street, yeah, what's going on there? You send my regards. Or Lexington Avenue. I remember I worked there in Manhattan. I left in the middle of everything. Okay, we didn't even say goodbye, and you can't really say goodbye, the people of YU, without hugging them, without seeing them. Just WhatsApp messages. Okay, we're leaving. I love you, and they have their things. YU is dealing with it's not a simple situation there. So yeah, everything was stopped in the middle. I know we have people, Baruch Hashem, thousands of people saw us live every week. You're right. Maybe I should do tshuva and find a way of having an English shiur here in Yerushalayim. I mean, but still, you can't have, an audience. It's going to be me and you through Zoom, but you're right. And I'll think about it. And it will definitely improve my English since I didn't use it for months. It's very, very nice speaking to you this morning. And Toda Rabba. But I'm asking you to try and listen to the Hebrew shiur and tell me what you thought. We have a weekly Hebrew shiur, and if you'll subscribe, you'll get a link every week. It's on TV here in Israel now, channel 12. They show it every week, the Hebrew shiur. And maybe you'll surprise yourself and you will be able to understand. And meanwhile, you can read all the English messages, texts in English. So Toda Rabba, I see we have many thank yous here on the chat. So thank you, Toda Rabba, and Besorot Tovot, Be'ezrat Hashem. Toda, and keep up the good work in your community. Toda.
Sivan, so number one, warm regards to Yedidya, who joined you at Beth Jacob. And Yedidya wrote a beautiful article in one of the Israeli newspapers after your trip to Los Angeles that we're all so proud of. And so warm regards to Yedidya. Sivan also, for everyone on the call, Sivan also has a beautiful sefer on Parsha. I have it, and it's a great sefer. Was that translated into English? I have the Hebrew. And what's it called? And was it translated?
It's called #Parsha, the book about the Parshiyot. We just published Reaching to Heaven with Art Scroll, also in English. And today, this morning, our book is one of our books is printed in French. If anyone wants the French version, so it's now available from today. Okay, you've gotten our Elul off to a great start. You've given us tremendous chizuk. Let's see if we can make sure to stay in touch, Sivan. Keep up the amazing work, and all the teaching of Torah that you're doing is really incredible. So kol hakavod, toda rabba. Toda rabba. Bye bye.
Laila tov from here, boker tov to you. Really, thank you so much.
Boker tov from Yerushalayim. Bye bye.
Bye bye everyone. Bye bye Sivan. Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone. Laila tov. Wow. That was special.
Thank you, Rabbi. This was great. It was great.